Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to do part 3 of how to make your own custom YouTube channel app with Objective-C in Xcode. If you guys didn't check out parts 1 and 2, be sure to go check them out in the annotations that I have listed right here. Without any further ado though, let's get started. Let's go ahead and open up our project files, and then we want to open up our XC workspace, or else nothing will work if you open up just your regular old Xcode project. So go ahead and open up your slide.menu.xc workspace. And go over to our tableviewcontroller.h file, and first of all, I made a mistake in my programming last time. Instead of this saying weak non-atomic, which means that it could be changed more easily, we want this to be strong non-atomic. And go ahead and do that for our YouTube JSON and our YouTube array right down here. And go ahead and call those both strong non-atomic. Alright, now let's go ahead and right over here where it says at interface, YouTube table view controller, UI table view controller, right after that say open curly bracket, enter, and then you get a close curly bracket. And we want to create an integer, so go ahead and say int rows, and then end it with a semicolon. Alright, now basically I will show you what this does later on, but this is going to be the amount of rows that are inside of our YouTube table view controller. Alright, now let's go ahead and go into our YouTube table view controller.m file. And right down here, we want to go to our reload data void right down here. And we want to count the amount of rows that are inside of our data. So let's go ahead and say rows equals open bracket and say self.YouTubeArray value for key, and then say at open quotation mark, close quotation mark, and inside of that just say title. And then right after that whole bracket system, go ahead and add another bracket, and inside of these two brackets right here we want to add count. Now we're counting the amount of times it says title inside of our JSON data. So let's go ahead and build this and run it, and I will show you exactly what this means. Now our nslog right down here is what shows us all this down here in our command prompt. So go down here to our command prompt, and as you will see, we have all our JSON data, and right inside of our JSON data, every video that we load up has a specific title name, and you will find this on every little group according to how many videos there are. So in this one, how to make a custom UI button with Swift and Xcode, or anything like that. Basically, we're counting the amount of videos that this JSON data pulls up. So I figured title, you could probably also use view count or whatever, but basically title is just what I'm using to count how many rows are inside of our JSON data. Alright, now let's go ahead and go down to our number of sections in table view. We want to actually say return 1. Actually, we keep that 0. Sorry, I was mistaken. And we want to actually say return right down here where it says the amount of rows in our section. We want to say rows. And basically what this is doing is it's grabbing the amount of times that title shows up inside of our JSON data, then it counts it over here, and then we display that in the amount of times of rows that we have inside of our YouTube table view controller. Alright, now go down here, and right down here, right underneath where it says return rows, you will find this little section where it says UI table view cell, table view cell for, this is basically the calling and creating the cells that we create right up here. So now we're actually going to create that. So go ahead and unmark this by removing the / and the asterisk right before and after this section. And right in here we want to say UI table view controllers table view cell asterisk cell equals table view, and this is already going to be done for you. So go ahead and say table view dec reusable cell with type identifier, and now we want to actually program in at, and we're just going to be calling the cell identifier. So now we want to say at open quotation mark, close quotation mark, and we'll just call this cell. Alright, and now let's go down here, and actually let's go on over to our main.storyboard. Now that we are in our main.storyboard, go ahead and click on this one cell that we have right here. And right over here, you will see a reuse identifier, or it just says identifier right here. Now we just want to call this cell. You want it letter for letter perfect as you called it right over here in your deck reusable cell with identifier. So right in here, this is the identifier name that you want to call your cell. So go ahead and go over to our main.storyboard again. And as you can see, cell, and make sure it's capitalized the way you capitalized it in your YouTube Tableview controller.m file, and make sure it's the same, or else you will not get this working properly. Now, identifier equals cell. Alright, now let's go ahead and add a label onto our scene. So click and drag a label onto our cell right over here. And we just want to stretch it out over to the edges like so. And we're also going to make it a bit wider. Alright, now let's go ahead and we want to center it first, and then we want to add 2 or 3 lines to it, just because our YouTube titles could be a bit longer and we don't want the ... We just want to fill the whole scene like so. Alright, and we also want to, this will be later on, but we also want an image to pop up. So let's go ahead and just add a UI image onto our scene. So image view, click and drag an image view onto our scene like so. And we will go more into the image a little bit later on. Right now we're just going to focus on the label, but we'll go into the image a little bit later on. And you just want to click and drag that UI image view just so it's a bit bigger. And we will edit the size a bit later so it'll fit our thumbnail of our YouTube video a little bit better. Alright, now let's go ahead and we have our label shown up and our UI image view. We'll work with the image view a bit later, but right now let's go ahead and click on our label. And right down here you will see view, and underneath that it'll say tag. And we actually want to change the tag of this to be, we'll just call it 5. You can name the tag whatever you want. I just like mine going by numbers of 5 so it's a little bit more spread out and I know what I'm doing. Alright, now let's go on over to our YouTube Tableview controller.m file. And right down here, we're in our, where we edit our cell for row at index path, we want to say UI label star or asterisk label. And you guys can call this whatever you want. So go ahead and you guys can call this whatever you want. If you want to say title label or anything like that, go ahead and do that. But I'm just going to call mine label equals, and then say open parentheses and say UI label space asterisk, and then go down there, and then we want to have open square bracket right after all of that and say cell UI cell view with tag, and of course this is going to be the same tag that we created on our main.storyboard. So our label has that same tag, which is 5. So we just want to go back over to our YouTube Tableview controller.m file and say view with tag 5, and then end the whole thing with a semicolon. Alright, now we want to go down here and say label.text equals open square bracket and say self.youtube array value for key, like that, value for key at open quotation mark, close quotation mark, and we just want to say title, and then end it with a square bracket, and then we want to also say object at index, and then say index path dot row, and then end it off with a semicolon. Alright, now basically what this is doing, it's setting our label that we just created up here. We want to set the label text to actually be the value for the title, as in our JSON data right down here, we have the specific title. And then it's also saying object at index path.row. So it's actually going to count the amount of which row it's in, and then assign that to its proper placement in the JSON data. So we will actually get everything matching up, and it's just going to be proper. Alright, now let's go ahead and build and run this and see what happens. Alright, now let's go over to our YouTube. Now as you can see, nothing actually loaded up, so let's go ahead and fix that and make something actually load up onto our scene. So right in our view.load, we want to say self.YouTube array equals, then open bracket, close bracket, and we want to change this to ns mutable array alloc init. So this is actually going to make it more and more readable to the computer, and we actually want to say init and then again end it with a closed square bracket like so. So this is just going to make a YouTube array that's a lot more readable and actually going to be able to be put inside of our YouTube table view controller. Alright, now let's go down to our reload data, and we want to say self.tableview close square bracket reload data. Alright, now what this is doing is it's actually grabbing the table view itself and it's reloading the data that we grabbed from here, such as the amount of rows that's going to be in it. So right down there, that's basically just going to grab the amount of rows and reload the data inside of our table view. Alright, and then we want to change one more thing. I was mistaken about this number of sections in table view. We want to return this to 1, not 0, 1. Alright, now let's go ahead and build this and make sure it works. Now go ahead, click show, and go to our YouTube, and as you can see, we have part 2, and we have all 25 things loading up. So now everything works, except our UI image view. So let's go ahead and make that work. So right down here, we just want to say ns data, and we'll just call this Asterix Data. You guys can call this whatever you want. And then say open square bracket, close square bracket, ns data alloc, one more close bracket, and say init with contents of URL, and we just want to say open square bracket ns URL with string, and then we want to say open square bracket close square bracket, and we want to say self.YouTube array value for key at open quotation mark close quotation mark, and we just want to call this thumbnail dot HQ default. And actually, let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So go ahead, open up your command prompt, which is right down here at the bottom, and you just want to click and drag that up like so. Alright, now let's go ahead, and right down here you will see thumbnail and then HQ default. And the way you grab something when you actually, in JSON data, when it says thumbnail equals, and then you have two separate things that you want to grab the HQ default or to grab the SQ default, you would have to say thumbnail.hq, so dot, and then say HQ default, like so. And make sure it's spelt properly or else it will not work. Alright, now that should grab our data, like so. And now we actually want to change this data into an image itself. So say UI image, asterisk image, and I actually forgot to close this off with a semicolon. So go back up there and close it off and make sure you have the right amount of brackets, and there we are. Alright, now we want to say UI image, asterisk image equals equals open bracket, close bracket, and say UI image with data, and we just want to call this data or whatever you named your data right up here. And now we're actually going to put this image into our UI image view that we created in our main.storyboard. Alright, now let's go back, and we want to say UI image view asterisk, and we just can call this whatever we want, but I'm just going to call mine asterisk image. Oh, actually not image. We want to call this thumbnail. We'll just call it thumbnail. Alright. UI image view star thumbnail equals, and we want to say open parentheses and say UI image view asterisk, and then say open square bracket and say cell cell view with tag. And this one, we actually want to go ahead and we're just calling it 10. Now let's go back to our main.storyboard and I'll show you what that tag was again. Alright, so go back to our main.storyboard and here we have our UI image view. And we just want to change our image view to have a tag of 10. So go ahead and write that in. Alright, now that's actually going to grab it according to the tag that we have right here. Alright, now let's go ahead and change this thumbnail into, change our thumbnail image. So say thumbnail dot image equals image. And actually I forgot to put something up here that is pretty vital. So go up here and we see NSURL, URL with string. We want to put another bracket right in front of this whole self.youtube array right here, and then also add a bracket at the end. And right inside of this two brackets right after thumbnail.image, and I just realized that I spelled that wrong. Let me quickly change that. Thumbnail.hq, that's also wrong. It should be HQ default. Alright, now right after that, just say object at index path dot row, like so. So you want it to be exactly what it says there, and have the same amount of, and have the right amount of brackets so you don't get any errors. And now let's go ahead and build and run this and see what happens. And go to our YouTube. And I actually got this signal where it says Sigabert. And basically what this is, if you go right down here, you will see that something's unrecognized and that something's wrong. And I just realized what was wrong. It should be value for key path, like so. Alright, now let's go ahead and build and run this and see what happens. Now go to our YouTube. And there we have it. So now we have our image loaded up. Right now it's not the best aspect ratio, so let's go ahead and fix that. Go to our main.storyboard and go to our UI image view right here. And we want to change our mode to be aspect fill, like so. And now go ahead, build and run this and see what happens. Show, and let's go ahead and go over to our YouTube. And as you can see, it's a bit weird right now because we actually need to change one more thing. We want to say clip subviews. And now let's go ahead, build and run this and see what happens. Show and go to YouTube. Alright, there you have it. Now we have our images loaded up, and you can of course play with the size of our image view to get it more in perspective and make it better. But basically, that is how you put things inside of our YouTube view controller. So thank you guys for watching. Anyway guys, that's it for this tutorial. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button down below. If you guys want to see more tutorials like this from me, be sure to subscribe. If you guys want to know more about me, be sure to hit me up with some questions down in the comment section down below, or check me out on Twitter and also my website. Anyway guys, that's it for this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. I am preparing for a video, and I'm just cleaning up this stuff so I can get seated. Yeah.